to Cornwall Seal Group Research Trust's virtual conference, Sharing Our Seas, Seals and People. We are excited to share an inspirational series of talks exploring a variety of aspects of seal conservation in the UK. And it's our 20th birthday. In that time, we've done 35,000 plus surveys, processed over 1 million photos for 72,000 plus seal IDs. To make sure we can continue this important work, check out our website to join our Wild Seal Supporter Scheme, back our crowdfunding campaign, or shop in our online store. Thank you for your support.
Hi everyone, my name's Emily Pollitt and I am Cornwall Seal Group Research Trust's Creativity and Activity Ranger. And yes, that is a bit of a long title, but it is a very exciting one because, as you can tell, it means I do a lot of the creative work that's needed to spread the word and awareness of our charity, but more importantly about our globally rare grey seals. So today I'm talking to you a little bit about some of the public engagement that we do at Cornwall Seal Group Research Trust. And I think for me that term public engagement is starting to sound a little bit too official and scary now, but essentially what it is for me is communicating with people and sharing some really cool information about who we are, what we do, but obviously most importantly about our amazing seals, about how important they are to their ecosystem and to the wider marine environment that they live in. So a lot of problems that all wildlife faces today is to do with lack of awareness. So one of the most important things we can do is to educate people, because once someone understands something, they're so much more likely to care about it, and that's what we're trying to do through public engagement. So another reason for public engagement is that we now have 20 years of unique seal photo identification data. We've also done some really interesting studies, research papers and projects, so I have loads of different areas covered, from photo ID to pups, from behaviours to seal-human interactions, and all of this amazing research needs to be conveyed to a wider audience in lots of different ways, and that's because we're all different learners and not everybody is going to be reading a scientific paper. So we want to make this science accessible for everyone so that everybody can learn to love seals, marine wildlife and the sea. Public engagement also means that we can hopefully connect with all sorts of audiences to inform, educate and inspire them about our amazing seals to ultimately help the environment and successfully share our seas. So some of the public engagement that we do includes talks, conferences, stands, activity stalls and lots of school workshops, and we do these across all years. Mostly all of our talks are free to be as inclusive as possible, and between the team we actually cover some really diverse audiences across the southwest. And part of my job is creating unique resources that support this communication. So I'm going to show you some of the ones that we've made over the last couple of years. One of the first things that I produced for Cornwall Seal Group Research Trust was a game of snakes and ladders, but as if you're a seal pup going through all the different issues, which were the snakes, and conservation actions that people can help you with, which were the ladders. This was a great one because so many people know that classic family board game, so that they could come in and start playing without that feeling of uncertainty on arrival. Through this game, they also start to pick up on some of the challenges that seals face, and you can start to chat to them about why it might be hard for a seal. There's loads of learning theories out there, and I'm not going to go into them too much, but learning through play is a classic one and definitely a really strong tool for developing understanding and ideas, not just for kids, but for all ages. So the activity booklet, which I'll show you now, is it was Marion's idea, so we made that one together a couple of years ago, and as you can see there's loads of different activities to have a go at. So you can have a go at photo ID, languages, body parts. We've got Smoo's incredible journey in there, and we really tried to incorporate a little something for everyone, so a bit of art, a bit of science, so that hopefully anyone can pick this up and find something to have a go at. We also take these into our school workshops, which are good because they can continue that interest when the children go home. So you might have heard before about the Vac Learning Theory, that as learners we are either visual, audio, read, write, kinesthetic, or a mix of two or more. And again, that's a big theory to kind of throw in there. But I guess what I'm getting at is that you want to make sure in your communication is that you have something for everyone. And a good way to do this is to work together with different people and ask for ideas. And appreciate that what you like, others might like, but they might not. So keeping broad and open-minded with your resources is a really important thing to do. So the other booklet that we made was the story of Septimus, who of course is our amazing adult male grey seal skeleton, who you'll hear loads more about in the week from Rob and Sue, so make sure you don't miss them. So this booklet essentially tells the story of Septimus's life and death. Although we knew him alive, we didn't know what he'd been through until it was actually articulated by Derek Frampton. So although the beginning story is mostly fictional, it gives an idea of the possible and actually very probable things that seals go through in their challenging marine world. So this was used firstly at one of the many exhibitions that Septimus has been to, and he's been to a lot. This one was at Mevergizzy, which was really special because it's kind of where his whole story began and where he met Rob. So a group of schools were coming to see Septimus at the museum there and engage with some of our activities. So some of the things that we created for them included a storyline, reading its story, rearranging the pictures, linking his injuries to events in his life, and one of my favourites is this Build a Septimus, which is actually surprisingly hard. I'll give you a clue. It's all about his long neck that gets people. But it's a really great one for showing how similar but also how different his skeleton is to ours as mammals. So over lockdown you may have seen that we were making and releasing activities for families, and we really wanted to make ones that were universal and could be adapted to any age group, and especially ones that the family could do together, because that's also a really great tool for learning. It's learning with others, so speaking things through, asking questions and just having a chat about it as well. So we had things like a seal mask, which kind of turned into a seal game with hunting the sand eels, which is of course their favourite food. We had ones talking about anatomy, labelling things, talking about adaptations. We had a grey seal fact file to fill out, and then also make your own creature and then fill out a fact file on them. And these are all still available to download for free off our website, so I'll make sure I'll put the link below. Another resource I've been doing a lot lately is infographics. So they're those kind of visual pieces or designs that give some really key messages, facts, figures, information, but they need to be attractive and fun to firstly entice people in, but more importantly to support the learning of those important messages. So you've all heard a picture says 1,000 words, but I think if you can illustrate a fact, it's way more likely to be understood but also remembered. So here's an example of the Eco-Tips page in the Wild Seal Support Pack, and that's something we just released last year. It's a kind of seal adoption scheme that comes with all this lovely information about seals. And obviously one of the major things that we can all do to help seals is to look after our beautiful blue planet, because we're all connected, and keeping a good healthy environment is not only going to benefit seals but all animals and us as well. So I wanted to give you an idea of the process of making a resource that I go through, and hopefully you might find it helpful, and I'm also going to finish with some top tips I've learned along the way. So first things first, when I'm making something, is to have a rough idea, making a few different plans, drafts or rough sketches. And you really want to be thinking about the key messages. So an important question is, what do I want to communicate, or what do I want someone to think about or understand? And if you keep coming back to that, the whole piece should have a feel of that theme. Most of the time it's text first, then your images and design afterwards, because that's the key information, and I've fallen down that trap so many times. Although sometimes you do have an idea of something and it can go the other way around, mostly you want to think about what you're portraying first. Pictures are so important. Like I said earlier, a picture says 1,000 words. They draw people in and also promote a deeper understanding of an idea. So always use pictures if you can. A tip I often use is something I learned on an illustration course, and I use it a lot. So it's once you've created something or got an idea, then redo it. Recreate it a few times, obviously saving your different versions, because often having to think differently and make yourself think more creatively produces some really interesting and different ways of doing something. So I often have a load of pieces on the go on my design programs and really just try and mix things up. So for example, your title might go at the top, but what does it look like putting it somewhere else? Use shapes, use colours, divide up bits of text where you can, and put small snippets of facts or key information separately. So even if someone doesn't spend long with a resource, they may take home a little key nugget of information. And these key facts, you want to keep them pretty simple. Obviously, you want them interesting, but you don't want to overcomplicate it, because if there's too much to read or think about, then you may lose your audience straight away. So keep things short and sweet. Less is always more. Another tip I've learned from Cornwall Seal Group is how helpful it is to go and watch something in the field if you can. It's been so helpful going out surveying and being as involved in all the practical work of the charity, as it means I can relay that in my design work. So watching seals when I'm out on a survey or doing some photo ID work means I can recreate some of their best behaviours or funny quirks that they do. This you can see in the colouring page here, as all the seals are doing some sort of sealy behaviour, like this one bottling in the background. Getting the gist of a behaviour, a quirk or a certain look really makes that resource special for people that know and recognise that little quirk, and also can hopefully capture the heart of people that don't yet know it. And my last tip is about stories. Humans love stories. It goes way back in our ancestry. Think about memory games as well. People use stories to help them remember. So if we're telling them a story, then that will stay with them. And of course, something special that Cornwall Seal Group Research Trust do is tell these seal stories, which is so important for these connections people have with seals. Someone sees a seal out on the coast and sends it to our sightings network, and we can tell them who this seal is, what they like doing, where they've been previously, and they might have swam across to France or to Ireland or to the Isle of Man that we know about. So it really begins that personal connection, and we know that when we feel connected to something, we understand and care more about it. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of our amazing funders who enabled us to make these resources. So that's all from me. I really hope you enjoyed seeing some of the things that I get up to and some of my tips, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of the talks that we have coming out this week.